So independence all done. On to cues. So cues can be natural, is how I like to think of cues. So, for example, um, the bell goes, and the students know that that is the cue in which the lesson is over and it's time to pack away. Then they start doing that. So that's the students being able to follow a natural cue. Or for example, you're going on the SkyTrain and you've stopped at a station and then you hear the bell, which indicates that the doors are closing, a natural cue, and then you step out the way. If someone then had to say, "Oh, excuse me, the doors, watch out," giving a verbal prompt, gestural prompt, someone might say, "Oh, watch out," and kind of slightly help your elbow in as a physical prompt. Natural cues are all around us, and it could even be something like the students see the clock. So, oh, 10:35, the students start packing away all their things, even before you as a teacher has given them the instruction. But because they've seen the natural cue and they know that at 10:35 it's time for recess. So natural cues are all around us. And in order to help students become independent, we want to help them become more aware of natural cues. One thing that I've noticed is that in some classes, sometimes students actually struggle with figuring out what is the natural cue that they should be paying attention to. And what I mean by that is, let's say I'm a classroom teacher and I said, "Okay, kids, now after you finish carving out your pumpkins, then what we're going to do is going to wash our hands and we're going to stand in line." Well, okay, so we've got three instructions there. That was actually a natural cue, the first instruction, but sometimes the students aren't able to actually pinpoint that instruction. So it was after the pumpkins, then washing hands, then standing in a line. Could be a challenge for a number of students. But I find that either by writing it down or drawing this, so, they know, it's pumpkin first, and then wash hand, and then stand in a line. And I find that, it's a bit like a first and then, but calling this a what's next, you can say to students, "What's next?" And then they can check. Go, "Oh, pumpkins, great. What's next? Wash hands. What's next?" Standing in a line. I like the phrase "what's next" because then if students don't ever know what's happening, they can start to use that phrase because it's been modeled to them. So they can say, "What's next?" if they don't know what's happening, so that people can then explain it to them. But some examples of the natural cues that occur in the classroom. You might also have natural cues. For example, let's say you're going to gym and 7 of the kids have come and sat down in a circle where you've asked them, and then the other kids are just coming a few seconds later and they walk in and they see the natural cue as the kids are sitting in a circle, they come and join them and sit there. So no prompting required, and they just are able to do it. But you might have a student that walks in, is kind of really interested in why the speaker has been moved or the lights are not on in a certain area of the gym. So then you say, "Oh, Taris, come over here. You've got to sit down." So we've got a verbal prompt and a gestural prompt. Or we might just slowly gesture them over. Or we might ignore them, let them see what's happening, and then let them pick up on the natural cues and let them become engaged. So using the natural cues in the environment is a great way of having the students move more to independence, but sometimes we need to assist the students in being more aware of what the natural cues are so that they can then take ownership of following the natural cues and the expectations.